Chapter 47. A limousine waited for us at a regional airport outside of Portland, Oregon. Aaron again led the way on the stairs, though less enthusiastically than last time. He probably felt mixed emotions between leaving a private jet and walking toward a stretch limo. "Dr. Turner," said the driver, as he stood by the open passenger door, "we're pressed for time, so we're going to head straight to the destination. An Alliance representative will meet you there." We climbed in and enjoyed the 30-minute drive from the airport to the patient's home. "Dad, what's going on with these neighborhoods? The airport was really sweet, but now we're in a pretty rough area. It got worse every mile." "Aaron," I said, "we live a very blessed life. Most of the world does not live like we do. The people I'm about to help likely spend every waking moment of their lives focused on their family member. They likely struggle with frequent trips to the hospital, surgeries, unexpected setbacks. All of that makes keeping a job difficult, if not impossible. They don't get to take vacations like we do. They don't get to watch their kids play soccer or sing in a school choir concert. Their joy comes from the realization that their child survived another day, despite the challenges stacked against them." Aaron sat back in the leather seat and considered what I said. I could tell it upset him, and he wasn't sure how to respond. Addison shifted her gaze between the two of us, monitoring the health of her family as always. "Stop the car!" he shouted. The driver obeyed and pulled the car to the side of the road. Aaron reached for the door and jumped out before I could grab him. "What are you doing?" I yelled. "Get back in the car. We don't have time for games." "I'm not playing games. And I'm also not going to show up at this person's house in a limousine. How would that look?" For the millionth time in my life, I felt guilty for how I reacted in the moment. I responded without understanding the situation and made an incorrect assumption. He was right. And I was so proud of him for recognizing it. I nodded at him. "You're right, Aaron. It's not a good look, is it?" I turned back toward the car and saw my wife's face poking out through the open door. "Addison, let's take a rideshare service the rest of the way." She climbed out and hugged Aaron with an intensity born of maternal pride. "Cam, get out your phone and get us a ride, and explain to the driver what's going on." I obeyed and dismissed the driver. It took some convincing, but he left us on the side of the road in a rough section of town, after giving me the patient's address. 5 minutes later, a Honda Accord arrived and took us the rest of the way. A black sedan with tinted windows stood out from the other vehicles parked on the street, in driveways, and even in a few front yards. That's got to be the Alliance rep. A short man answered the door quickly after I knocked on the metal screen door. "Are you him?" "I'm Dr. Cameron Turner, if that's who you mean." "I'm here on behalf of Alliance." He didn't answer but pushed the door open and stepped to the side. I entered the home first, and then Allison led Aaron into the small entryway. It led directly to the kitchen and what was probably meant to be a family room. Now it looked more like a hospital room. A hospital bed filled the center of this space and left no room for a television or even a Christmas tree. Dark blackout shades hung in front of the windows, offering privacy from anyone curious enough to look in the windows from the sidewalk only a few feet away. The man pointed to the bed, and the emaciated person tucked into the covers. A ventilator delivered breaths through a tracheostomy tube in his neck. A pump hung on an IV pole next to the bed, pushing a brown liquid into a feeding tube in his abdomen. "This is Ben. He's my son, or what's left of him. He overdosed on fentanyl 3 years ago. Took too much to live, but not quite enough to die. One stupid pill, on one night of stupidity with his friends. He's been like this ever since. I work night shift and try to get enough hours to pay our insurance premium, so—" He pointed at the insurance rep sitting at the kitchen table. "These guys keep paying the bills. I work so much that I'm hardly home. I should be asleep right now, but he told me I'd want to be awake for this, so what can you offer that the other doctors couldn't?" I used to be like them, delivering medical care based on established treatment protocols and evidence-based therapies. Now I'm able to offer something a bit more effective. God's given me a gift. "You're him. You're that guy." He pointed at me, and took several steps backward. He fumbled in his pocket until he removed his phone and started a call. "Darlene, get over here, now." He paused for a moment. "I don't care, just get here. It's about Ben." He ended the call and stuffed the phone back in his pocket. "His mom and I broke up a few months after his overdose. Our relationship couldn't take the stress. Can you imagine living with your son who does not know you're even in the room? Who can't respond when you talk to him, touch him, clean him up?" Addison wrapped her arms around Aaron from behind and pulled him in close. The front door opened with a crash, and a woman rushed in, wrapped in a robe. Her hair hung down her back and dripped water onto the floor. The drops scattered as her chest heaved from the short sprint. His mother lived this close? She must have wanted to stay close enough to be with him, even if the relationship with his father fell apart. "What is it? What happened?" she asked, breathless. "Nothing yet, but you need to see this. This is the doctor who can perform miracles. I think he's here to help Ben." She turned to me with eyes as open as the muscles allowed. "You can do that. You'd do that for us, for him." I smiled at her. "Yes. Even if it was from a drug overdose?" she asked. "God doesn't care what you've done or who you've been. He is bigger than anything we can imagine. Most people don't get the chance for restoration here on Earth, but I can offer that to Ben, right now, through God's grace." "Why him?" asked his father. "I've seen the news. You're from Indiana. Why fly all the way to Oregon to help us?" His expression changed as the pieces fell in place in his mind. He turned toward the Alliance rep, sitting in the corner. "Did you set this up? Are you just trying to save money?" The rep stood up and joined us next to Ben's bed. "It's a complicated situation. Alliance is spending millions of dollars a year to care for your son, which we have done without interruption, I might add. Yes, we want to save money, but we want to do that by offering him a cure. Nothing we have provided over the years has done that, but Dr. Turner can. Ben's 23. Imagine if he had his whole life ahead of him again and could live it outside of this bed." "Will you shut up?" said Darlene, slapping her ex on the shoulder. "I don't care who set this up or why. I just want my son back." She turned toward me and grasped my hands in hers. "Can you help him?" "Absolutely. Is everyone ready?" Ben's father pulled his phone out again and held the camera toward the bed before he nodded. I looked back at Aaron. He looked nervous, unsure of what was about to happen. Addison shared a similar look, but her lips curved up into a thin smile. I walked over to the right side of Ben's bed and held my right hand over him. "I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, for the old order of things is passing away." Once I'd finished speaking, I lowered my hand and walked over to my family. I stood behind Addison and added my arms to hers, wrapped around Aaron. Ben's parents shot glances back and forth between each other, their son and me. I wondered how quickly he would improve. A few seconds later, the ventilator alarm sounded and made us all jump. "What's happening?" asked his mother. "It only makes that noise when something is wrong, like a clogged tube." I looked at the machine and recognized the issue. The machine noticed increased pressure in the circuit and sounded an alarm. He's breathing. It isn't programmed to expect that. It tried to deliver a breath while Ben exhaled. "Breathing? On his own?" asked his father. "Yes, look here." I pointed at the LCD screen. "It's registering 24 breaths per minute, but it's only programmed to deliver 16. His eyes. The lid just twitched. Ben's mother rushed to his bedside. She pushed his hair aside to get a better look at his face. As she touched his skin, he opened both eyes. "Ben, can you hear us?" His father hurried to the opposite side of the bed and grasped his right hand. Ben's head tilted to the right and then moved up and down slightly. "He's nodding, he's understanding and replying to us." His mother jumped up onto her toes and began touching her son on the face, chest, arms, and anywhere she could reach. "Can you feel this?" "Yes." The word was merely a whisper, but was the most powerful sound this family had heard in years. I felt Aaron shudder in my grasp. It happened again in an irregular motion. He was crying. My young man understood the gravity of the situation, and it moved him to tears. That broke down my walls, and I joined the others in a good cry. His next words were stronger, but still a whisper because of the tracheostomy. "Where am I? What happened?" I released my family and moved toward the ventilator. "Ben, I'm Dr. Turner. You had a medical event and were very sick, but you're getting better." I undid the elastic strap around his neck and grasped his breathing tube. "I think we can remove this ventilator now. Can you take a deep breath and cough?" His chest rose and then spasmed as he coughed. I pulled the tube out and laid it on the bedside table. I reached over and held down the power button on the ventilator, and then hit the screen to confirm the shutdown procedure. "Thank you. That feels better." He looked around the room, the confusion obvious on his face. "This isn't our house. Mom, Dad, where are we?" Ben's parents shared a look and then turned toward their son. His father spoke first. "A lot has happened in the last few years since you got sick." He shook his head and then laughed. "I can't believe I'm talking to you. I didn't think I'd ever get the chance to do this again." His father looked up at me and exhaled before wrapping me in a bear hug. "Thank you so much. I don't know how to thank you. This is an absolute miracle." "You're welcome. Remember, this is God working through me. Tell all of your friends what happened. Save their souls. Amplify this blessing as much as possible. Oh, and you should turn off his tube feedings. I don't think the tube's even in him anymore." His mother lifted the sheet and gasped. His abdominal wall showed no evidence of a feeding tube site. The tubing lay on the bed, oozing liquid brown nutrition onto the sheets. "I'm thirsty. Do we have anything to drink?" asked Ben. "Your father probably has some drinks in his fridge," she said. "His fridge? Why is it his? Shouldn't it be our fridge?" Ben's parents shared another look but didn't reply. They turned back toward the bed when it creaked and moved. Ben climbed out of the bed and stretched up onto his toes, his arms raised above his head as far as they'd reach. "Never mind. I'll just go grab something myself." We stood in silence as this man who 5 minutes ago had been in a permanent vegetative state strolled past us and grabbed a drink from the fridge. "It sounds like you all have a lot to catch up on. And we need to get on the road. It was very nice to meet you." I nudged Addison gently, prompting a sniff before rubbing her eyes on Aaron's shirt. The insurance rep rubbed his as well. The four of us gathered on the small porch outside the home. Aaron spoke first. "Dad, that was incredible. You totally brought him back to life. Are we going to do that again?" I looked at the Alliance rep, who nodded. "Next one is in California. I'll let the pilot know you're on your way back to the airport." I summoned another ride and tried to debrief in the few minutes until it arrived. That was awesome, wasn't it? Can you see why I have a hard time not healing people when I come across someone in need? "Dad, I want to help you do this again. I know I don't have a lot of time left with you, so let's make it count. Let's change a lot of lives together." Addison's pride glowed on her face as she listened to Aaron speak. "And I'll do what I can to help as well." "Good. We have at least 4 more patients to visit, and then we'll have to figure out our next move."